Okay, welcome everybody. The Sports Coffee, the weekly chat. Thank you to our continued support from InsureWise, the insurance brokers. Today I have a full international, most capped Northern Ireland futsal captain today in Adam Barr. So Adam, how are you?
Yeah, first of all, thanks very much for having me on. Really appreciate it.
problem.
And yeah, I'm good. I'm good. We were just talking about the weather beforehand. It stayed dry, and
Yeah.
futsal's going to be back shortly, so it's all going in the right direction.
You're in good spirits. That's good. So how did the futsal journey start for you, Adam?
Yeah, so I obviously futsal wasn't really a thing, especially back in Northern Ireland when I was younger. I just used to play indoor and different variations with like my friends and family, really. And only when I went to university, I went to Northumbria University in Newcastle. I got drawn into futsal there, so it was my first year of university. I was told to kind of try out. It's actually my sister went to uni before me, and she doesn't do futsal, but she's basketball, but she knew all the people involved in all the sports, and she recommended futsal and thought I might be good at it. So I have to owe her a lot of credit towards that.
Yeah.
Good scouting from my sister. But yeah, I just went in and got involved and went to the first trial. Spoke to the head coach Michael Gunn, who's fantastic, and that's really where it started for me. And then went on from there to play Bucks leagues, went Bucks North Premier Leagues, playing the national division, onward straight up to like kind of right through to mid country really. But it definitely all started with just like a trial session at Northumbria University when I was playing football and futsal, and I just fell in love with the game, to be honest.
So what part you say you fell in love with the game? So what part of the game that you fell in love with is more, desirable than playing the 11v11?
I suppose I need to be careful because I'm not going to start slating football because I'm a big football fan as well, and that's not what I'm going to do. But I think it's just that, as you can imagine now, especially when I look at football, and if anyone's watched like half of the last Premier League games, they've been probably not as exciting as we're used to because of the amount of demands on the players and stuff, but also just because of the rules and regulations around it and everything. And that's kind of where it started for me. When I went to futsal, it was so quick, so fast. You get loads of touches on the ball. It's always perfect conditions for futsal as well. Like, don't forget, we were in England and I was in Newcastle where I was playing football, and some days it'd be raining upwards and sideways and you couldn't get the ball out of your feet. And because it's a weighted ball, obviously with a reduced bounce, it keeps the ball on the ground much more. So you get to play and the speed of it increases as well. So I really enjoyed that. And I really like the roll on, roll subs, so that rotations is really good as well, because I like the idea of going on the court for 5 or 6 minutes, giving it everything, coming off, and then getting information from your coach, from the other players, your team, solving problems, then coming back on to do that. Whereas, if you're involved in football, and I luckily was at a good level, it doesn't really happen like that. Sometimes you're out there for 80 minutes and do it. And look, I guess there was a time where I just had to make a decision, and I made a decision for enjoyment reasons. And I think the enjoyment came from the group of people, the coaches I was involved with, and just the speed and the kind of demands of the game really draw to me. So yeah.
So when did you get your first cap for Northern Ireland? What part of the journey was it when you first?
So I'd gone through university. I played for after university. I played for a bit for Durham, and then played for just before I moved to London to play for Genesis. I got invited to basically there was open trials, so I went along in open trials. Went for that, and there's people wearing like tennis shoes, running shoes, everything. So it was, I think, not many people knew what it was. And Johnny Michaels, the gaffer, said, we're going to give a series of trials, and we're going to invite players from they actually play futsal as well. And roll on a few months' time, and I was playing my first ever game for Northern Ireland against, let me see, I think it was against Wales, in Wales, for the home nations. So it was really, that was my first cap, and that was in 2000, and you really tested me here. I want to say 2018 maybe, or maybe 2019, one of those two. But so it was like four years ago now.
Yeah. So it's been quite a quick sort of journey for Northern Ireland, doesn't it, really? Because they've only been, like you say, you made your debut in 2018, 2019, four years down the line. How much development do you think as a nation has Northern Ireland had in that short space of time?
It's honestly it's been so quick and it's developed so much, Neil. And I think futsal is a very fast moving game, and I'm sure you've spoken to people who've been involved with club setups and and people have involved in different setups around the world, and you can really move quickly if the progress you want to make, especially with teams and players. So for us, like considering our first weekend playing was in Wales, and I only met one or two of the players. Like not everyone actually come to the training camp because of different demands and different reasons as well. To roll on we played in the World Cup qualifiers and the Euro qualifiers over the last before the pandemic. It's developed so much. We've got about at least 10 new players have come in and out of the squad, which has been really good. We've players who are specifically playing futsal now, and obviously there are players who are doing both, which is great as well, football and futsal. But now it's developed from probably just the coaching team informing everyone of the rules and regulations basically and what you need to do in futsal to now where we've got a fully operating S&C program, which is great from the IFA are really supporting with that, and James Douglas, our S&C coach, is great. We've got stuff that we have to do every week regarding sprint sessions, and when we got video analysis sessions whenever they're put in, we've got divided up in the groups where we take it seriously and talk amongst ourselves about what tactics we're going to implement. And that in space of going from really, let's be honest, strictly amateur to like that professional way of thinking in 4 years, it's a lot. And I think a lot comes down to the support from the IFA and also the work that people like Johnny Michaels, Garth, Kieran Donaghy, all the coaches put in as well around that. And we definitely have changed in our approach. And one of the best probably ways to benchmark it is our first time playing England, we got beat 16-1. And the last game we played against England was 6-4. And England have been in operation for much more years than us. And they've got a bigger array of talent as well. So, that's kind of how quickly we progressed, I suppose.
Yeah, and I was looking at the rankings, the European rankings, and obviously you're not massively high in them, but 46th out of the, I think it's today's rankings. England are there. I think they're 13th or 14th. I think and then you've got obviously the nations like Portugal and Spain, and have you played any of those? You mentioned the home nations. Have you played any of the big names in futsal?
Yeah, so we haven't played Spain or Portugal yet, unfortunately. I'm looking forward to whenever if that can come about anytime soon. But we played against Hungary. They're obviously very highly ranked. I know they got a shock defeat to Israel the other day. We played against Finland, we played Finland, and then they went on the, I think, draw with Spain in the following 2-week period. We've played against Lithuania, who are obviously going to host the Euros as well. And we played against Moldova, who I know that was in a group with England and Israel, and they went through, and they're a really good nation and highly ranked as well. Those are probably the top teams we played against. Like teams like Hungary, Moldova, and Finland, all their players are mostly professional and play, like in European leagues professionally as well. I think Hungary's captain was for Corret, which is one of the teams who are in the semi-finals of the Champions League. So we played against such a good standard of teams now, and we want to continue doing that. I've said to the players, we want to draw different teams every time as well in all these qualifiers and all the Euros selfishly, because what we do over a weekend when we play teams like that, we progress so much more quickly than we would if 1 year of training camp with Northern Ireland, for example. And that's no disrespect to any us or ourselves as players or the coaches. We all know that we need to be challenged to learn new things, and I think those teams really give us that, and that's probably helped as well towards our development over the last 4 years.
No, definitely. Yeah, you play and learn different ways against different nations, because they obviously have different ways of working and sort of setting their teams out, don't they? So I was very surprised that Russia were second in the rankings. It wasn't a nation that I was expecting to be in the top 3 of the European sort of futsal rankings.
Yeah, Russia are actually a brilliant team, and I think they've don't put me in this any look at this again. I think they were in the World Cup finals or semi-finals the last time as well. They're a brilliant futsal team, and they've got a lot of good players who play in some of the top teams around the world as well. And I think actually they're playing tonight against France in the Euro qualifiers as well, which is obviously, I don't know when this is going to go out, but the 5th of March, and that'll be a cracking game. It's on at 8 o'clock, and I'm looking forward to watching that. And yeah, and we're really fortunate at the moment that, to be honest, I was the exact same as you when I first came in the futsal, and I looked at the ranking tables as you do. I was like, why are these teams top? It doesn't make, when you correlate them always to the football, it doesn't always match up. So luckily, through Twitter and other things, futsal's quite accessible. So I've been watching more games than I've ever watched over the last 4 years. It's been gradually more and more, and I kind of block out my Friday night, so there's a big game on and watch that instead of a Friday night game on Sky Sports now. But it's really enjoyable and it's really good, obviously. But yeah.
No, definitely. So, do you have ambitions, or is that restricted? Potentially restrictive to become a professional player?
Yeah, look, I don't think you're going to speak to any futsal player who plays for the country and say that wouldn't be the dream or the ambition. They'd be lying. Now, my girlfriend's not at the moment, but if I told her I'd love to go off and travel the world and do that, she'd probably laugh. But yeah, look, I definitely do at one stage have ambitions of maybe going away and potentially playing semi-professionally or anything like that. Do I think I'll get a break to play professionally, or do I think I'm at that level? Not too sure. I don't think so, because there's players in Spain, Portugal, Russia, wherever, who've been playing since they were 5 years old and stuff like that. So that's the kind of standard you're going against. And they've been, not only been doing that, but since they've been adults, they've been training 4 or 5 days a week in futsal. And I'm 29 years old now, so it's difficult. But what I see the role of players like myself and other players who are in the NFS or play for the country or have dreams of playing semi-professionally or ambitions to do that, we're really paving the way for those who are 5, 6, 7 years old and playing futsal now. That's what we do to show them what they can achieve. Like, Wessex, who the club I play for, every Saturday morning they do a skill session. We have the academy players on that Jeff runs, and like all of them are fantastic, like quicker feet than me, and they're great. And what you want to do is say, right, look, obviously you can go right to the top of the NFS, but you can also go abroad. There's opportunities to go and play. And without players doing that, they'll never know. So I know that you had Liam on previously, and Liam's one of those players who'd gone off and done it. So now more people might do it in the future. I know Doug Reid and all have gone off in the past, and all the players have taken those opportunities. So that's the important aspect. It's not necessarily, ideal world, getting paid professionally to play futsal. That's what we would like, but our role is to show the youth what futsal can do for them in the future. Yeah.
So do Northern Ireland have the same? You mentioned Wessex have the academy sessions. Do Northern Ireland have a junior program to obviously emulate the national team, current national team?
So currently the answer is no, but I think the reason for that isn't because they don't want to have a junior program. I think the reason for it is because there's clubs in Northern Ireland who are doing their own academy stuff, doing their own junior stuff, and I think as important as it is, they have a Northern Ireland presence there. I think it's more important they support local clubs to do that and local communities to do that as well. Yeah. Are we really going to benefit from dragging 8 and 9 year olds around Northern Ireland or dragging them to Belfast to play one weekend of games? I'm not too sure, but like helping and supporting the likes of Rosario went to the Champions League for Northern Ireland recently. Belfast United have done so in the past, and then clubs like Sparta who have, and Sparta's a good example. I know Darius is our futsal goalkeeping coach from Northern Ireland, but he also runs the whole Sparta club, and through that they have academy sessions running every week, skill sessions running every week, and that's the stuff that's really important to make sure Northern Ireland's not offering anything, which I don't know if it is or isn't their place to do, so that we're supporting the local clubs or the clubs within Northern Ireland to do that as well, because that's more impactful, right? You grew up, you were 8, 9 years old, you played for your local team and you enjoyed it, you played with your friends, so making sure they get that exposure to futsal is the important thing. Yeah, definitely.
So you touched on the Champions League. Is that something that you've been involved in yourself or clubs?
Yes. So very luckily I was invited to play. I was actually invited to play in Champions League twice, but the first time I'd already booked to go away with my family and friends on a holiday, so I couldn't get out of it really. I was a bit snookered. But the next time I took up the opportunity, obviously, because I blocked the calendar, because the first time was a last minute thing. But Belfast United invited me into the Champions League. We played against the Greek, Albanian, and German champions. We played the whole weekend in Germany, and it was a great experience. We actually And the last day we nearly beat, I think it was the Albanian champions. We just got beat the game 4-3, and it was really close. And Germany at the time, their league was just going professionalized and going throughout the whole of Germany as well. So it was amazing atmosphere and a really good weekend for learning. And we brought, like, Belfast had only, I think they brought in 4 external players from the players they had in the squad already, just because they needed more numbers to come along with them. And they brought loads of players who obviously, that was their first taste of international or that level of futsal. And I think they all realised how good the other teams around the world are, because your perceptions, especially if you play football at a high level, which some people in Belfast United had, like some had played for Irish league sides or whatever else, they just expect they can go and, do well. But it's such a different game, and it's like we got beat the first evening by the Germans, and that was a huge learning curve, and then we improved throughout the weekend. But yeah, those experiences are fantastic, and they're invaluable for the clubs who win in every league, whether it be the English League or the Northern Irish League as well. So I'd love to go back in the future, and it just depends on the opportunities we get with either from Northern Ireland or from your own club. Like the dreams in the future is for Wessex one day to win the NFS Division 1, and us to go for our own credit and go for our own club. So yeah, we'll see what happens in the future.
So what's your opinion on the Northern Irish League to the English League standard wise? Is there a big difference, because it's probably not been going on as long as the English League?
Yeah, I think the main difference is just the length of time. The English League has been going probably for 15 plus years, really, if you look from starting off with local leagues, everything else. And it might have been going longer than that. University leagues, where it all kind of started off and kicked off from that. So if you run a league for that amount of time, naturally you're going to have more players coming in and out of the system, and more of them knowing more about futsal. So that's the main difference, really. Like, that's why teams here are different from Northern Ireland as well. And you take areas like London, for example. We were talking about, you're just not too far away up the road, but there's so many people come from all over the world to London as well. Like, and it's probably so diverse, but we got loads of Portuguese, Spanish, French, whatever else. But there's a background, Brazilian, Italian. There's a background in playing futsal as well. So I think England have benefited from that influx of people, and not just obviously in London. I know there's areas like Birmingham and Manchester and stuff, benefited from people coming in, whether for university or work, and then growing that league that way as well. And I know that in the Northern Irish League, there's now more, foreign or European players coming in and getting involved in the league, which is a really good thing as well. And that will grow the amount of Northern Irish people involved in the league and benefit the league that way as well.
No, definitely. The diversity of all the big cities obviously will benefit, and obviously Belfast having that, that as well. So no, that's excellent. So what the current season, obviously looking to restart. Where was it when it got stopped? Where were as a team? How were you getting on?
Yeah, so that the previous season was pretty much last year, and it got stopped. Basically, I think it was made null and void for most of it, except obviously there had to be, I think Helvetia were made as a representative, to go as representative for the English NFS, and I'm not too sure if that was done because they were currently top of the league, or they had won the league the year before. One of the two reasons, but yeah, obviously deserved to go. But yeah, that's kind of where we were, and then the season just kind of came to a sudden halt, as many things that have done pandemic. So now this is literally a completely new season going to be up and running in hopefully May time, which will be a small series of games, which will be really good for everyone, because I think everyone's just dying to get back and play indoor. I think it's a really smart move from the NFS as well, because instead of waiting to September, then suddenly we'll have loads of games, and everyone might get injured, not used to that, the kind of demands of the game again. We now with the May and the kind of easing into it, I think it's a really good approach, and a small summer break and get back at it. And as I said before as well, the likes of pro futsal, running outdoor leagues is super for the clubs involved in the south of the country as well. From what I can see, I think the likes of Cambridge, Southend, Wessex, Reading, will all be entering teams and do those outdoor league competitions as well, which would be great. And I think everyone just wants to get back playing. So yeah, NFS probably wasn't really anywhere last time it stopped, and now it's just about starting again and making sure they get as many teams involved as possible.
So where will the outside futsal matches or tournaments take place?
Yeah, there's a futsal court actually it's Shepherd's Bush area. I think it's Westway Sports. Don't quote me on that, by Futsal Arena. So it's a specific arena designed for futsal. It's just one court, but obviously, as you know, everyone can play as much as they want in futsal courts, which is another benefit. Whereas a football pitch, you could be ruined after probably 1 or 2 games in the day. So yeah, it'll be run this Sunday. I think it'll be just back-to-back games of different teams playing each other for a certain number of weeks. So yeah, it'll be really good as well. And look, I know that probably a lot of people think London, everyone has to come to London for most things in England, but I think it'd be a great idea to have more outdoor futsal courts, especially those that can resist the weather. I think it'd be really important, especially over summer. You see in all European countries, you go around the world, you always see like a futsal pitch, and you'd be like, oh, that looks great. It's always obviously all the kids outside playing in the summer as well, because I think we've got this stage where the winters are so bad here, snow and rain. Like futsal's a no-brainer, but we also want it to be not just a winter thing. We want it to go on all year round.
No, definitely, and I think that's how it'll develop. If it's renowned for being an all-round sport, not like a cricket where traditionally it's just a summer sport, or a tennis is traditionally, even though if you do play a decent standard, most sports are throughout the year anyway, aren't they? So, no, excellent. Youngster, if you were, obviously you were saying there's lots of academy players and young players. What would you say if you were starting your career now at 10, 11, and you had a little bit of insight from yourself? What would your biggest sort of ambitions be from being a 10 or 11-year-old to going on to become a pro player? Would that be, and how would you make that happen?
Yeah, suppose it's a difficult one. I don't think 10-year-olds would listen to me first of all, but look, I think it's just important to let 10-year-olds, 8-year-olds, 9-year-olds, whatever, and their parents especially know what opportunities are out there. If education is important to you, which look, it's been important to me throughout my life as well, then there's opportunities to get scholarships all around the world for futsal. There's opportunities to get your degree, whatever you need, your master's, whatever, partially funded, fully funded, and then that helps with that dual career aspirations for anyone. I think that's firstly a hugely important thing, and that might relieve some of the parents who might be listening to this going, oh, I'm just going to sell them the dream. And I think that's probably a little bit where it's different from, not completely different, because obviously you can get football scholarships and stuff like that as well. But I'm saying you can go on to become a professional futsal player, even if you take that time at university and go through that almost collegiate approach as well, if you wanted to do that. The other thing I would say is just like time playing the game. You're going to have to invest in playing in weekends or weeknights, and that can easily come into your schedule of football as well. The two can complement each other. We know that there's benefits from footballers developing from futsal and vice versa. We know that. So play both and enjoy both for as long as you can. And I think too that there's international opportunities. I know that the stuff recently with England needs a lot of things to be sorted out, and I think that one day there will be an England national team again, because it just makes complete sense for there to be. But there's Wales, Scotland, Northern Ireland, loads more countries, and there's opportunity to play internationally and play in the World Cup qualifiers, European qualifiers, everything like that. So there's loads of opportunities to go and do that. But the last thing I say is it's all about opportunities and outlaying where you can go. And now I think there's going to be more opportunities for players in the UK and Ireland to go abroad, go and play abroad, and go and have that opportunity. And why not take it? And it doesn't mean that if you do that, you're going to suddenly miss out on something else. You can do it tomorrow up with football. You can do it tomorrow up with your education, whatever that may be. But yeah, it's just about getting involved and enjoying it from a 10-year-old point of view as well, making sure you're getting as access to as good a club, local community or coach as possible.
So what skill set would you say you needed to focus on when you changed from football 11v11 or your traditional 5v5? What skill set did you need to work on to become a really good captain of your country You know.
Um, regarding being a player in futsal, the one thing that was actually, and it's really basic to me now, and comes, I would just do it automatically, but changing at my age when I was 18 from using the inside of my foot to using the sole of my foot, and just getting that technique of how to use the sole of my foot, how to manipulate the ball, keep it moving, was something that was it's alien to you. And sometimes I remember the first 6 months I trained in futsal, there'd be times I like control the side of my foot, and I would just kind of slow down the game or completely ruin that attack we're trying to build up. So that was a big one just to learn right away. But then you have to learn all the, and I know we do this in football, but the check-offs are a bit quicker. So checking off your opponent's shoulder and coming back in to receive the ball, like your rotations, the strategy involved of it. For me, there's a lot more goes into it than football does at times. And the understanding that no matter what position you play on the court or perceived position, you might have to fill in another position right away and do that. Whereas I know that in football traditionally, and I know it's changed with Pep and stuff, you were whatever position you're in, that was your position. If someone went past there, obviously you try and cover, but it's not as kind of fluid as futsal. But like regarding I think all those helped me become a good futsal player and understand that. Regarding becoming a good captain for my country or captain for my country, like for me, it's just I'm really passionate about the game. I care about it, and I'm really lucky that there's loads of leaders in the Northern Ireland team that support me to help everyone else or be the players' voice to the coaches and captains and hopefully help the players and inspire them when they need to be inspired as well. But to be honest, that side of the game's easy when you've got like a great bunch of lads and a great coaching setup and loads of leaders. So yeah.
Okay. So you touch on leaders there, and obviously that's a big thing in football if you want to be successful. Is that something, leadership going into coaching, is that something that when you do hang out your trainers, so to speak, that's something that you'd like to give back to the sport?
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, I'm currently coaching the women's futsal. I work for a university as well, Queen Mary University in London. So I currently coach the women's futsal team there. And previously I coached at Northumbria University. But yeah, look, I absolutely love coaching. I'm currently doing my master's part-time in sports coaching from St Mary's University. So I'm really enjoying that and learning a lot more. But yeah, absolutely. I've only when eventually the day comes where, like I said, I have to hang up with trainers. I want to get back involved and coach as well. And something I really enjoy. I know that with Wessex, for example, when things start up, Jeff's invited some of the senior players down to coach some of the academy kids. Do a day with them, and that's for me. That's as good as going out and playing yourself or representing your country. It's great. Like these young players are itching to go and play at the weekend or go and have an opportunity internationally or professionally, and they see players who've been and done that and get to chat them or get to play with them or getting coached by them. Exciting things. So yeah, I really enjoy seeing players develop and fall in love with the game. So yeah, definitely want to do it more and get involved as much as I can.
Excellent. That's really good, and obviously a good role model. You don't always have to be a player, a top level player to be a good coach, but obviously it helps for young people to look at a national captain that always going to be potentially our academy coach. That's really good. So the last question: where do you see yourself in the next 2 years? So you're saying you're 28. In 2 years' time, you're 30. What would you have liked to have sort of achieved in the game in this next 2 years?
It's like if you asked me that question last year, I probably would have said a proper answer. Now I'm just like, I hope we're out of lockdown in 2 years' time as a bare minimum. Like so. But yeah, look, I think from my point of view, I want Northern Ireland to get through a qualifying stage for a World Cup or Euros. I want to see if we can achieve that. I want to finish. We've said about we want to finish top 2 or potentially, win the home nations at some point as well. And I realise that structure might have changed a little bit because of the England situation at the moment. Yeah. But we want to achieve that. Like personally, I just want to play as a highest level as I possibly can. So if that's at Wessex, we want to be in the NFS top division and challenging for the league in 2 years. If it's an opportunity to go play abroad, that's something I would need to look at as well. But for me, it's just about constantly challenging myself to play at the highest level as I can, both internationally and with club. That's what I want to do. And really short term, I think I suppose hard to envisage, give you concrete black and white information on where it's going to be. The short term, it's like getting back to the sport as soon as possible, because yeah, we've missed it over the last while. But that's the ambition, and one day, can we qualify for a major tournament? And like that all leads you there, right? So yeah, that's kind of where we want to go for.
No, brilliant. No, I appreciate that. So I, really appreciate your time today and your insight into your futsal journey. Because it's the people watching today and people when it's released on our YouTube channel, I think it will be a really good insight. There's lots, like you say, there's lots of clubs out there now with lots of youngsters that are now going through the journey of futsal instead of potentially football. So it's a really good insight today. So I appreciate that, Adam. So like I said, guys, this will be scheduled to go out on release onto our Sports Coffee YouTube channel. We'll put it on Twitter and Facebook, so then everybody knows when it is, and we'll obviously put Adam on the handle, so then people know, and obviously Wessex and any of us that you want to link in as well, just to try and get the word out there on the platform and try and build the game, because it's still not classed as a massive game in either country really. So it's I'm a big fan of futsal, and happy to promote the format. So all the best for the new season when it does restart, and hopefully we can catch up when you've qualified for the Champions League and you're in the Euros. So all the best.
That sounds great. Yeah, thanks very much for everything. Thanks for the support.
No problem.